Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Family, work, school, you've got a lot going on. I'm Aisha Roscoe from NPR. We know you're busy, so we've made staying informed easy. The Boise State Public Radio mobile app is a hassle-free way to keep up with the latest news and stories. Whether you're cooking dinner, folding laundry, or just tackling your daily to-do list, staying in the know has never been so simple. Download the free Boise State Public Radio app today, so even when you're busy, you'll never miss a beat. And join me for Weekend Edition every Sunday morning from 6 to 10 on Boise State Public Radio News.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. It's been more than 50 years since NASA sent astronauts towards the moon, and the Artemis II mission is paving the way to put more people into space. Last night, the Orion spacecraft shot up into Earth's orbit and began tests to make sure everything was ready for tonight's engine burn, which will take the 4 astronauts into lunar orbit. Now, Artemis II is all about testing everything from how the Orion handles spaceflight to figuring out the next steps for humans to return to the moon and spread out to Mars. Dr. Racine Cleveland was watching last night when the Orion blasted off. She's a planetary science postdoctoral research fellow at Boise State University, and she's been studying Martian dust devils with Dr. Brian Jackson in Boise State's physics department. She is a big Artemis enthusiast, and she is joining us to talk more about the mission. Dr. Cleveland, really nice to have you on the show. Thanks for making time for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Okay, so for folks who don't know, briefly describe to us what is the Artemis mission, because it's not just this one space flight.
You're right. It's not just this one space flight. We actually had a space flight back in 2022, Artemis I. But overall, Artemis is NASA's effort to return to the moon. We want to build a sustained presence on the moon, to build our solar system exploration infrastructure. While it is led by NASA, it has many international space agency partners and commercial space partners as well.
Okay, so last night, the Orion spacecraft blasted off. And can you talk to us about how many astronauts are on board and how long do they plan to be in space?
Yeah, so yesterday they launched at about 4:30 Mountain Time, and it was an incredible experience to watch it. There are 4 astronauts on board. We have Commander Reed Wiseman. He's a former Navy pilot. Then we have pilot Victor Glover, who is also a previous Navy pilot. We have mission specialist Christina Cook, and then mission specialist Jeremy Hansen, who is actually a Canadian Space Agency astronaut. They will spend about 9.5, 10 days in space. Right now, they are just a little bit outside of Earth's orbit. They should reach the moon at about day 6 and then free fall back onto Earth.
So I have to tell you that I was lucky enough to actually watch a space shuttle launch. I was able to cover it when I was a news anchor in Tampa, Florida, and then I actually got to watch one just as a citizen right there at Cape Canaveral. It is truly pretty impressive. Now, I know Orion is not a space shuttle. However, I'm assuming you watched this last night. What was it like for you to witness this?
To be able to witness this is something that I have always dreamed of watching, but I never thought would happen. I always try to keep my expectations low, but being able to watch it made me really emotional. It made me have pride in just being a human, not being a scientist, not being somebody who is able to study space, but just as an American, as a human. I felt so much pride watching these 4 people risk their lives and take us with them on this exploration to the moon.
So talk to us about what Orion is doing right now, because my understanding is there before they get to the moon, you said, which will be about day 6, they've got a lot of testing going on, right? So what are some of the things they're doing?
Yeah, so right now, I actually just checked this. They are about 35,000 miles away from Earth. They're going about 4,300 miles an hour, and they are prepping themselves for the translunar injection burn, which will happen later tonight at about 5:45. Right now, they're running some tests on the life support systems. They are running tests for saliva samples to test for stress, immune response, hormonal changes. They are running tests on visual expectations outside of the window, making sure that the cameras are in the right place, that they can grab the right handles, making sure that when it happens, it's muscle memory, so that there's no question here in about 4 days when we get there.
Okay, you just mentioned translunar injection burn. What is that? I mean, what will it do?
Yeah, it's a really big word, translunar injection. They call it the TLI burn. And it is the moment that makes sure that there's no quick return. This burn will steadily increase the speed of Orion from about 15,000 miles an hour up to 22 to 25,000 miles an hour. Orion, the
Wow.
capsule, will break out of Earth's orbit and begin on its path to meet the moon, swing around it, and then free fall back to Earth. So this burn is our last big push towards the moon.
So why aren't they going to try to land on the moon this time around? They're just going to try to orbit it, correct?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. We are not landing on the moon now because modern safety standards are much higher than they were 50 years ago.
Mm.
But even during the Apollo missions, we didn't land on the moon the first time. This mission is actually more similar to the Apollo 8 mission, and that's 8 missions before, and this is just Artemis II. So we are beating those time standards from the Apollo missions, but we still have to test all of the spacecrafts. These are brand new launch systems, brand new Orion capsule, brand new astronauts that have never been to the moon, right? We want to make sure that
Hmm.
everything is muscle memory by the time that we get to the moon. Uh,
So
this is also, we have a much broader idea of what we're expecting when we get there. So we can do it a lot faster now, but we are not ready yet. We still have to test all of the equipment.
mm. So, I know part of this is to try to open up, the ability for more people to go to space, right? To maybe go to the moon, to potentially
Yeah.
someday go to Mars. I'm curious to know if that's something you'd ever like to do, because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm my hiney's staying right here on Earth. There, I've never had a desire to do that, so I'm
Yeah.
always fascinated by people who are.
I would. I would absolutely love to go to space. It has been my dream since I was a very little girl to become an astronaut. And then it evolved into being a planetary scientist. But being an astronaut is on my goal. I am perfectly happy and content being a planetary scientist and studying the planets from here. But if I got the chance, you betcha I'd be the first one on board.
Okay, well, I'd come watch you take off. That's about as far as I'd go. So I want to thank you so much for coming in and talking with us about this. This is really exciting for
Yeah, it's really
space
exciting stuff.
and more understanding. Yeah, it really is. So thank you so much for taking time for us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. We've been talking with Dr. Racine Cleveland. She is a planetary science postdoctoral research fellow at Boise State University. Maybe she'll be an astronaut someday. And she has been studying Martian dust devils with Dr. Brian Jackson in Boise State's physics department. And we've been talking about the Artemis mission to the moon. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Make sure you check out our podcast feed, because you can find more episodes of topics that might be interesting to you. And for more local news and headlines, make sure you subscribe to the Connector podcast. And if this episode meant something to you, text it to a friend.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho Voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.